Hello, this is a quick video to illustrate how to use exceptions in Java. So it includes creating your own exception, throwing an exception, getting a method to throw an exception, and then how to catch exceptions. Okay, I'll start off with a very simple example. I've already written a little project and I've got this example class. The example class has a single attribute called value. It has a constructor which sets the value to an initial value which the user chooses. It's got a method to set the value, and it's got a toString method which prints out the value and its reciprocal, or 1 over the value. So if we go to the main method, I've created a new example with the value 3, and then I can run this. Let's try run it. So I set the thing up with a value of 3. It says the reciprocal is 0.333. Third, the reciprocal of 7 is 142857, 142857, 142857. That's the 7th. What happens if we go into our exceptions class and we set the value to 0? Right. Well, we get infinity. We don't want that, because that could cause problems if we're going to go on and try to do a calculation with it later on. So what we really want to do is we want to either capture, we can either write some code within the setter, and here I would probably write just a little if else which stops the user from setting the value to 0, but I want to just illustrate how to create an exception and throw that. Not the best programming practice in this particular situation, but it's here to show you how you would do something like that and how to deal with exceptions in general. Okay, so I'm going to create a new exception, and I'm going to call this Doomsday Exception. So I've given it my own name. You probably won't ever have to do this, but let's just have a go at it anyway. Doomsday Exception is going to extend the exception class. Okay. If I just go, I'm just going to go now and have a look at the exception class. So I'm going to the Java API, and here's the exception class. The exception class, you see, it inherits from the throwable class, and there are lots and lots of subclasses of exception, and you can read them all: font format exception, data format exception, bad string operation exception, lots and lots and lots of them. So exceptions are then split up into two main subclasses: IO exceptions and runtime exceptions. And if we just have a look at some of the one that you've probably seen a lot, null pointer exception. So we have a null pointer exception which extends from exception, and runtime exception. Now, null pointer exceptions happen when the program runs and perhaps we try to run a method on something that we haven't created yet, so we get a null pointer exception. We've never had to create code which deals with these at all. They just happen. They happen as part of runtime. So null pointer exceptions are they're okay. They will crop up, and we can deal with them if we expect them to happen. We are going to go on and look at file handling. So one of the things that we look at in file handling is a class called scanner. And if we have a look at scanner, you'll see that somewhere down here it says that scanner will throw an input mismatch exception, or it might throw an input-output exception when there's something wrong with the information that's been read in. And in particular, if we have a look at the constructor for scanner, you'll see that when it's defined in the API, it says that the public scanner file source throws a file not found exception. So if you try to create a scanner with a file, which we will be doing later on, then you have to guard against this particular exception. And if you try just to use the constructor for scanner, you might find that Java won't let you use it, and you have to do something to deal with this exception, and that's what we're going to look at today. Okay, so going back to NetBeans, I've created my exception, and I'm going to insert some code. I'm going to insert a constructor. Oh, lots of super constructors for exception. I'm going to choose this one here, which allows us to add a message. So this just allows us to add an extra message so that when the exception is thrown and we catch it, start to deal with it, then we can output some information to the screen. And I'm also going to insert a toString. Oh, I should have overridden that, shouldn't I? That was a bit bad. I should have overridden it instead of just inserting it. Tell you what, let's. Oops. I just want to delete that. I'm making a hash of this. Stop it. Something wrong with my mouse. Insert code. I want to override a method. I want to override the toString method and generate it. So it gives me the toString which comes from the exception class. What I can put in front of there is I can put an extra message in if I like. Help. Space. So you can do whatever you want to give yourself some extra information there. Okay, so there's my exception created. Now, how am I going to actually use that? Well, what I can do now is I can go into set value, and I can say that set value throws. What's it going to throw? It's going to throw a doomsday exception. It's just gone off the screen, so I'm just going to bring that down. Everything's okay. It says missing Java dot. That's okay, but let's give this a go now and see what happens. Oh, that doesn't really help. Yeah, it throws a doomsday. Why is it coming up in 0? Oh, it's because it's saying that in set value I haven't caught it or declared it to be thrown. Okay, so let me do it, but it's still it's not liking it. It's not liking it at all because I haven't actually done anything with it. So what I should do is I should do if the value is not equal to 0, everything's fine. If the value is not equal to 0, everything's going to be fine. Else, and what am I going to do? I'm going to throw. What am I going to throw? A new doomsday exception. Is that how to do it? Yeah. Divide by 0 error. Does that make sense? It doesn't help that it's gone off the screen and I can't get to the end of it. Let's just break it up a bit so I can see. I'm missing a semicolon on the end. Right, it's going to say insert braces here. Add braces. There we go. So it's added the braces. Not very well. Let's format that. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. So if it's not 0, everything works as happens. Otherwise, it throws a new doomsday exception. Now, when I go up here, this is definitely in red because it says that I'm not. I could throw something and I haven't caught it. So what you've got, if you click on here, I've got a number of choices here. I could. I could add a throws clause, to this thing. What that does is the method, the exception that's been thrown by this gets passed up to this method. So now the main method will throw the clause, and it could get passed up from method to method to method if you got one method calling another one. And that's probably not what I want to do. So I'm just going to not do that. That's kind of putting something off and letting somebody else deal with it. Whoops, Oh, that wasn't me. What we'd normally do is we'd surround the statement with a try catch. You can surround the block, surround the whole block if you want, but I'm going to surround the statement, just that one statement. If you choose try catch, then what happens now? This could throw an exception. If it's thrown, then it's caught, and you'll see that it knows that it's catching a doomsday exception, and then it by default it puts in all this information here. I'm just gonna get rid of this, so you can allow the logger to take over if you want, or you can do your own thing, and I'm just gonna print out the exception, whatever is thrown by the exception, to strings, so we can see what's happened. So if I set that to 7, I can get rid of these statements here that it's put in automatically. That should work. So if I run that now, get reciprocal of 3 is 3, reciprocal of 7 is that. If I go to exceptions.java, oh, sorry, I know what I should do. That statement there should really be in there. So I should only be printing the thing out if it's been set correctly. If I set the value to 0 and now run it, the first one was caught. The second one, it created the exception. The code caught the exception, and I could do something with it. And here, the only thing I was doing was printing it on the screen. Okay, and we'll come across exceptions when we do file input and output. And in file input and output, because most of the methods which deal with file handling throw exceptions in case the information read in the file is incorrect, or if the file itself is not found, or there's something wrong with the disk on which the file is stored. All of those things can throw exceptions, so you'll find lots and lots of try catches in there. You probably won't ever have to create your own exceptions, but there's always that possibility. Okay, so there are some slides on this on Moodle. Good luck with that.